let us discuss about the actors behind the scene. Now here there are many people who are responsible for developing a database or a database management system, and in that the first one is the database administrator, and he is also called as a DBA, and he is responsible for authorizing access to the database, coordinating and monitoring it. So when I say authorizing access to the database means the database administrator allows the user to, or he provides the user login to access the database. Coordinating and monitoring means he manages the database, or he makes sure that the data is stored securely or not. And he is acquiring the software and hardware resources as it is needed. Now here, if any security breaches are taking place, database administrator is the one who is managing the things. So he is the first actor behind the scene. Next comes database designer. The responsibility of the designer is to identify the data, means whenever the data is collected, how this needs to be structured. And he has to choose appropriate structure for the database, and he has to represent how the data needs to be stored. Now the next worker behind the scene is the end user. So these are the users who are accessing the data for querying, updating and generating reports. So here it can be classified as casual and end users, or native or parametric users, sophisticated end users, or standalone end users. Now casual end users occasionally access the database, but they need some different information, so sophisticated data they may need. So such users we call it as the casual end users. Next is the native or parametric users. They are constantly querying and updating the database, and and they do the Canon transactions, and the bank tellers check the account balance, reservation agents for airlines, hotels, they check the data regularly. Employees at receiving stations for shopping companies after enter package identification via barcodes. So these are all called as native or parametric users. Sophisticated users include engineers, scientists, businessmen and others who implement their own application to meet their complex requirements. And standalone users are having a ready-made program package. They can provide easy to use menu-based, graphic-based interfaces. So like that we can classify the end users. Now the other workers behind the scene are system analysts and application programmers. System analysts determine the requirements of the end user, means what is the need of the user, and they develop the specific standard, the Canon transaction that meets these requirements. So such persons are called as a system analyst. Next comes application programmers, who are responsible for developing the software, what we call it as the software developers or software engineers, such as analysts and the programmers. Commonly these software engineers or software developers, they test, debug or the documents, and they test the programs, they debug the programs, they make a documentation and maintain this Canon transaction in the program. So these are all the workers behind the. Now next workers behind the scenes are DBMS system designers and implementers. They design and implement the DBMS modules, and also the other workers behind the scenes are tool developers and tool developer design and implementation tools. The software packages that facilitate database modeling and designing, database system design and improved performance. So tools are optimal packages that are often purchased separately. They include packages for database design, performance monitoring, and natural language graphical interfaces, etc. So these are the tool developer design and implement tools are the other workers behind the scenes. Then operators and maintenance persons, they are responsible for actually running the maintenance of the hardware and software environment of the database systems. These are all worker behind the